Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be going over my 1 year review and thoughts on this guitar right here. It is the ESP LTD SN-1000HT Fire Blast guitar, and this guitar is responsible for my obsession with ESP and LTD guitars now. So what was my path to this? Well, about 3 years ago, I got back into guitar playing after a 20-year hiatus. And when I did play guitar, I just played a cheap Hondo. So I didn't really know anything about guitars. So I kind of just, went to the classics, right? Gibson and Fender to see what they were all about. So now part of my hobby is actually making music, and I kind of want to still be hip and with it, so I kind of want a more modern sound. So I went to my local guitar store, kept digging in the inventory to see what they had. Eventually I just sat down and made a list of things that I wanted. Then I stumbled upon the LTD guitars. You looked at kind of LTD and ESP, and it was like, oh, well, they're made strictly for metal, which, now playing them and seeing all the different configurations, we know that just isn't true. But I started looking at the specs, and I just looked in the inventory, and this guy popped up, and I just thought the finish was really awesome on it, and it hit every requirement that I had and more. I mean, let's go over the quick specs on this guy. We got the swamp ash body, kind of with that like sand-blasted finish with the fire blast. We got the Fishman Fluence modern pickups in here. We got the ebony fretboard. We have scallop frets from the 17 to the 22 position, which is supposed to give you more vibrato and stuff, but I have a feeling I just don't utilize that correct. We have the roasted maple neck with the thin U profile. It is a bolt-on neck. And then we have LTD locking tuners. We got that hardtail bridge down here. And then we have a bone nut up there as well. And just overall, this guy is a mean machine. So retail at the $13.99 price point. It beats out a lot of things, a lot of brands for sure. If you were kind of comparing it to, Fenders of the same, price point, you'd go, yeah, it has it beat. But in this video, I'm really not going to sit on it and harp on necessarily comparing it to a Fender guitar per se, because I think it's just kind of trying to do its own thing. A lot of brands steal shapes, right? And just sitting down and playing it, it's so nice with that thin U profile. And this guitar also has the compound radius, and we'll just round up and say, 12 to 16 inches. So yeah, it's definitely pretty nice. This is a Korean-made one, and I think they make them in Indonesia too, but can't say anything bad about it. And it was pretty much set up out of the box, ready to go, and I haven't really had to make any tweaks to it at all. It's always been pretty solid, stays in tune great. So this guitar retails for $13.99, but again, after, getting kind of your 10-15% discount from the store or buying used, obviously it can drop down a bit. There are two other honorable mentions, because there's actually technically two other finishes of this. One is going to be the Purple Blast, which retails for, I believe, $10.99. And the difference there is it has, obviously, a purple finish. And it actually comes with Seymour Duncan passive pickups, a Sentinel and Pegasus humbuckers. And then they have a new model that came out as of this video. It's called the Silver Blast, and it is silver, that retails for $14.99. So do what you want with that information. So now just kind of back to how it plays and sounds is, like I said, these have the Fishman Fluence modern pickups in it. And on this model, it basically kind of has a more vintage sound when you pull up. And then when you push down, has the more, high gain, that oomph. So like any normal guitarist, you just start accumulating a bunch of guitars. And I actually kind of started falling out of favor with this guy. So as much as I loved it initially, things just came along that I just enjoyed playing better. I actually found that this guy over here, this Epiphone Les Paul Prophecy, their Fishman Fluence pickups in it, which is, I believe, just a variation of the modern. I actually think those sound a lot more punchier, give me a lot more bite in my face than these. But these humbuckers in this guitar compared to that just doesn't excite me as much. And I got an LTD EC-1000 CTM, which I did a review already on. But I think even the Open Core Classic sounds better than these too. But the playability really is great on it. Again, I think it comes down to when I'm looking for a sound, I plug it in. It's not giving me that sound I want. So it's not that it doesn't play great. It's just, I'm like, it just kind of sounds off a little bit. But again, that could come down to amp, pedal settings, things like that. So just because my settings don't sound great doesn't mean what you play on, it wouldn't sound great. But as far as, the sound goes, I kind of attribute, LTD EC-1000 and this Prophecy, to sound different probably just based on how they're built, right? It has a set neck or a set through neck. So I'm really not trying to steer people away from it. If this is your style guitar, this is fantastic. So I should probably play some sounds here just so you can kind of get an idea of how it sounds. And maybe you'll pick up on what I'm hearing, or you'll go, dude, you're so crazy. That sounds so great. So here we go. Well, I hope that was useful. So let's go over some of the pros. It has high quality components in it, from the Fishman Fluence modern pickup, stainless steel frets, ebony fretboard, the roasted maple neck, locking tuners. Though I will say that the scallop frets, it's not a feature for me anyways that I'd go looking for personally. And the value is really great on these as well if you're buying used. I've seen some of these going anywhere from, like $600 to $1,000 in there. And that's crazy for the specs you get on this. Another thing I like about it is I like the Swamp Ash. I think that looks great. I think the Fire Blast, it's unique, has that modern look to it, something I'm looking for. And then the quality of this guitar, like I said, there's no flaws on it. This was pretty much a flawless guitar. And like I said, it didn't really need any setup. And I haven't had to make any tweaks to it over the past year, so you can't really ask for any more. Now some of the cons. Could be the Swamp Ash body with the sandblasted texture here. This isn't for everyone. And another thing people may not like is it comes in limited colors. You don't have a lot of options. And then since this is an active pickup guitar, it takes a battery. So you gotta be ready to change out a battery. And in this guy here, you basically just have to take these two screws out, and then you gotta kind of pull out the battery, put it in. It's actually kind of a hassle. And then another thing too is some people just don't like the sound of the active pickups. So it may not be for everybody. And then the one thing I said for a pro, man, you can pick these up used and get a lot of bang for your buck. If you're like me who bought it new, even with the discount, if I try to go resell this or do something, I know it's going to be a struggle, because when someone's like, I'm going to offer, $600 for it, I'm going to be like, yeah, not a chance. So there's really not too much more to say about this, because like I said, I don't really want to go into the whole Fender debate and, oh, how does this compare to a Fender, this and that. I just know for all the specs you get on this guitar, it really is a good value. And again, to reiterate, if you go used, you're going to get a screaming deal, a great playing guitar, no doubt about it. However, again, personally just kind of fell out of my main playing rotation, but I think that's because, I'm on to the flavor of the week, which is more the Les Paul style guitars. So, come back in a year and talk to me, and I'm like, I bought 4 more of these. And then you'll go, thought you didn't like it. And that'd be fair. And like I said, though, I really still like the ESP and the LTD guitars. Now, I know there's going to be other brands out there too that probably compete in the same space, but I didn't find any that really had all the specs that this had in that same price point. I think guitar manufacturers are definitely trying to up their game and add more specs and do things for less. It's just, competition, right? And just easier way to mass produce guitars. It's great on one hand, but on the other hand, if you're someone who likes to buy and sell guitars a lot, well, you have these mass-produced guitars that don't really hold their value, even with stellar specs, so that kind of stinks. So, it just makes you kind of want to buy used. And again, another video for another time on that. look forward to that one. So at the end of the day though, if you are someone who likes playing strats and you want a more modern sound, you want to have a unique look, and you want to have just great playability going up and down the neck smooth and a high quality instrument, definitely check this out. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. Go ahead and drop me a comment on what you think of this guitar. I think it's pretty good. What do you think? Also, if you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see me make more content like this, go ahead and give me a like. If you aren't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Also, don't forget to check out my actual music I'm creating. I'm on all major streaming platforms. But again, I really appreciate the time you took out of your day to watch this, and I'll see you in the next video.